Hey guys, good morning. Welcome to my show. It's a new show and a whole lot of stuff in regards to welding, automation, and robotics. My name is Pradeep, and the company that I represent is Nikith Engineers, which I'm going to elaborate about as we are into this domain from the past 42 years. We've been manufacturing welding machines, repairing welding machines, and now we are into automation from the past 22 years. And we would like to take it further and give you guys the benefit of how to automate your welding processes, how to get into a much deeper learning curve where you have some issues regarding your productivity, and we're trying to make sure that it is as simple as possible. And the kind of experience that we've gained over the past 22 years, we would like to give you or pass the audience the benefit of it. To start off with, here's an introduction of who we are. Like, Nikith Engineering started in the year 1977, started by my father, Mr. Niranjan Kumar. He started it as an entity where he could service welding machines for all the big manufacturers who had a very big issue in regards to the service. Namely, there are only 3 manufacturers who are into India, and now it's exploded like anything, where you've got Chinese manufacturers, German manufacturers, English manufacturers. But out of the lot, though initially they were starting out with only 3, the biggest issue at that particular point of time was only service. Since he was a commerce dropout and he did not get much of an exposure into engineering, there was a potential customer. Sorry, guys. There was a potential customers who were facing this issue of servicing where a minimum lead time was about 15 to 20 days for a machine to be serviced. Just imagine, guys, 15 to 20 days is like hell as of now. Okay, coming back to that. So what he did was he asked the engineer who had come there to show him what he does. That's how my father got to understand the basics of electronics, the basics of electricals, the basics of the entire working principles of the welding machines. Then he started servicing machines of his own. Once he started servicing most of the welding machines at that particular point of time, the next 5 to 6 years was like breeze to him, because he was doing about 20 to 15 to 20 calls at single day, and that was good money those days. Periodically, a customer approached him to start a welding machine brand of his own, because he was so good in welding servicing, welding power source servicing. That is when he thought, okay, let me build one, but at a particular fee or a particular constant rate. So he thought of building one, and he built his first machine way back in about 1979 or 1980. Till today, we've been servicing those machines, and we have sold more than 1,200 welding machines worldwide, right from Dubai to India to Australia to Australian potential customers in India. Yeah, that's one vertical. And after selling the welding machines for more than 20 years, we stopped it way back in 2016. The only reason why we stopped making welding machines is because we're not able to match up with Chinese competitors who are very, very good at dumping cheap, very poor quality welding machines. This was one biggest disadvantage, and by that time we were hardly about 6 people. To counter that, we started focusing more on automation, basically welding automation. It started out as one particular need way back in 20 years, where Rane Madras, one customer in India who's doing about 1,000 crores to 2,000 plus crores of business, their entire unit, they approached us for a peculiar problem in regards to the cylinder port welding. That became his biggest challenge. Though he was not well versed in electronics, he did not use any kind of programmable logic controllers nor CNC controllers. He developed his own concept. He built around about 2 or 3 motors connected through timers. Basically, guys, that's what was available here at that particular time. because he's a commerce dropout, and that's how he suffices their requirement. And you'll not believe this machine was built under 1 lakh rupees. That's about 75 to 85,000 rupees to be very precise. And this machine from the past 22 years plus is running without an inch of an issue. The revenue model that this has generated turns out to be crores. And the company owner, Mr. Balkrishna, has still approached us for other automations, and we're constantly in touch, improvising it or developing new systems. Way back in 2014, the same company, Ranimetras, approached us for another peculiar problem, something very similar, the same hydraulic cylinder, steering cylinder, but in their plant, not at the customer's site or not their vendor's site. That was when I was doing my initial training at my father's place. I was getting trained on a lot of automations, on servicing of welding machines, designing of our own systems. Now, after this, we started designing this particular welding control system, or the 5-axis machine for port welding. Way back, 22 years back, when father did it, this was not your off-the-shelf basic machine. It was just about a 2-axis or 3-axis machine with timers. What I did was took it much further and built a system which had a motion controller, 6-axis interpolative, and this was able to cater right from cylinder ports, end caps, mounting blocks, rectangular ports, as well as linear welding. One machine, multiple solutions. And guys, you'll not believe this changed the face of how they started welding. Right from 22 minutes including setting to 4.5 to 5 minutes including setting. This was the time that the company took to weld one cylinder. Mind you, these figures can change right now, but I'm talking about at the stage when we developed this. So it was a complete change, and what we did was went further ahead and started patenting our technologies, because guys, that's the main portion where we miss out on a lot of patency or IP related issue in India. I'm talking about that's because once you know that you have the right amount of work done in your particular technology, it's very important for us to patent. It's not just because that you patent and you give it out for a particular fee, but just because you need to have a right on your technology. As simple as that. Fine. Now coming back to what happened next, that's gonna be in a little bit. So hey guys, here we're back again, and to show you what we're gonna do is that I'm gonna take you across all my different websites, all my different platforms as to how we've developed our robotic welding automation process. And to start off with, let's get into our website that you're looking at right now, www.nikithengineers.in. Yeah, that's the website, and here you go. Once you see the website, it's very clear or really evident what we are into, how we're gonna do a different level of automation, right from plasma cutting to welding to potting. So yeah, that's the whole history about the company, like how many years we have been into this and what is the kind of services that we've been providing over the past 40 years, and the kind of commitment that we gave our customers, and the kind of service, the color, especially the most important thing that we believe in is the yellow color, symbolizing happiness and dedication of each product. Dark black color is for the perfect elegance to which the machine has been designed. And next, yeah, this is where I want you guys to focus. This is a really good tool where it gives the stats of what we are into. Yeah, 3,500 metal etching equipments, 100 plus automations, 1,200 welding machines, 40 years of expertise. Talking about welding machines, 1,200 plus welding machines, you name any bus bodybuilding company in south of India, most of them, about 80 to 90%, They've been using our welding machines and it's been a long run. Now probably they've got an upgrade, but automation is the next big thing. So we moved from welding machines to automations. But there is one product that we've been continuously working on, the metal etching equipment. It's a small product, a very economical one, started by my grandfather 40 years back, and the product is still running fine with a few modification on most of its content, how it looks and all those things. In a little while, probably in the next episode, I'll give you a clear overview of what I'm talking about, how this metal etching equipment looks, and what is the kind of margin that we are earning on it, and how even you can build one. Right now, just give a scrolling back to my feature products. Yeah, these are my our feature products. Basically, our weld over series, which caters to only port welding, and the multi-axis weld system, which is perfectly suited for your cylinder welding applications. Both of them, multi-axis weld system V1.4 and V1.0, both are really apt for cylinder welding. The only big difference is the motion controller and the kind of add-ons that we give, apart from which it's got to do with the length. So 1.0 caters to about half a meter, and 1.4 here caters to about 3 meters in length. Talking about the customers that we've given these to, okay, V1.0 was installed in 2014 to Rane Madras, one of the pioneers into cylinder welding or steering cylinder assemblies, catering to the farm equipment sector. This is only for one division, one particular division in Mysore. And this model, multi-axis weld system V1.4, was given to Canara Hydraulics, again to weld their different varieties of cylinder, close to 300 varieties of cylinder, just one machine, guys. Yeah, it does port welding, it does a lot of stuff on a single setup. We'll talk about that later. And yeah, scrolling down, we've got another system called multi-axis weld and cut system, though the system is not right now because we've upgraded it to the next gen model. And we're talking about microspot, so auto tube profile cutting, so varied applications. For example, if you see microspot weld system, we're working with an electric two-wheeler manufacturers whose heart is the battery pack, and we're going to do a microspot welding through our system on their battery packs. Basically completely configurable system. And auto tube cutting, that's another division that we cater to. It's the civil automation. So before getting into a lot of details, I would like to give you a ballpark figure as to what are the companies or categories that we cater to, right? So this is our vision and mission, guys, and what we do, basically why I choose us. Right, this is our team members, guys, all over the place here. Right, then yeah, that's about for our testimonials. So this is basically Nikit Engineers and where we are. Yeah, we are also there in Footscray, Victoria. That's our support center. You can give us a call anytime. Next, let's move on to Nikit Robotics. This is where all our products come into. Yeah, this is it, guys. So, what are we here for? Basically, Nikit Engineers is completely in automation, but in Nikit Robotics, we are only into product development, like standard products. For example, you take, yeah, the scroller says it all. If you see the scroller, we put a dump truck, basically a dump truck, and pointing out where the cylinder welder comes forth. This cylinder welder, okay, we'll go back to the scroller to give you a clear overview. Cylinder welder welds all the cylinders in relation to the FET ones. FET being front end tipper cylinders. Exactly. My cylinder welder or our cylinder welder caters to front end tippers, guys. Okay, now coming back to a tractor trailer. Basically, the entire tractor trailer is being welded in our profile welder. Yeah. So, coming back to the excavator, the profile welder does also the battery box, the cylinder welder does basically the boom cylinders. And talking about orbital welders, basically all your boom and hydraulic cylinders need connecting tubes which are being welded on my orbital welders. And for starters, we have a very small product called the circular welder, where rod eyes and pivot joints can be welded through our circular welder. These are the four product, guys. If you get into much of a detail, yeah, we've given the same kind of intro, and that's there on Naked Engineers, because basically this is a subside of Naked Engineers. We're not trying to put forth a completely new platform. Yeah, and scrolling down in regards to the product. This is a recent product that we've launched, basically a circular welder or a mini circular welder, where things are really good here. It does circular welding application basically, and it's got a touch and teach user interface with pre-tested programs. It takes up to less than 200 welding diameter, and you'll not believe the price, guys. It starts from 99,999 taxes. It's available right away. You can start booking these things, and all you've got to do is, it comes with the torch. All you've got to do is just connect your welding systems, right? Fine. Now going back to the next product, basically this is a cylinder welder. This is a top-notch product. It's got patent in India and across Australia. And on your right, it gives a clear overview of all the stuff that it does: single and multi-port welding with circular and rectangle profile, cap and cover, and rod eye welding, mounting block and nameplate welding. Yes, basically 300 die and less, and it does up to 60 die import. Guys, this machine, or all the machines on our platform, are equipped or modified to one major technology which we are focusing right now, is on the intelligentized welding manufacturing control systems. This is the next big thing in welding, guys, because in intelligentized welding manufacturing, every product or every part that is loaded onto the system that gets welded goes through a process where, during the course of welding, if there is a small delay or a small mishap where the welding stops or your component goes for a toss, the system records it and gives this data to the customer, saying what has happened all through the day or all through the week or all through the month. The entire data is stored, pointing out where the mishap has happened, how it has happened, and what are the kind of input outputs that have been stopped. Basically giving a closed loop system or a complete data for the owners to understand how their operators are working on the system, how the machine is behaving based on the operator, and what kind of inputs are being fed onto the system. So this is going to be the next big standard for all kinds of automation relative to welding. Let's move back to our hydraulic connector tubes. Basically what I showed you here, guys, the connector tubes welding. Yeah, basically the connector tubes are being done on our orbital system. That's again put for patent pending application that's going around. Now these tubes are the biggest challenge for any hydraulic industries, because these tubes go through a pressure of 350 to about 800 bar pressure. But the biggest challenge is not consistent. The pressures are sudden, or sudden thrust pressures, due to which there are extreme chances of weld crack or the entire tube getting ruptured at the weld zone. Now, to avoid this, what we have designed is a system called as an orbital welder. Basically, the entire torch system here rotates around the weld joint and creates weld bead. And the weld bead that we have developed here is called the Uranami weld bead. What you look at, guys, this is the thing, Uranami weld bead. Yeah, you saw it right. It withstands up to 1500 bar pressure test, and this has been proven out, and this is currently being used for connecting tubes in Tata Hitachi excavators. Now, what's a big technology about Uranami weld bead? It's not a big technology, guys, but there's a huge process involved. How we generate this particular what do you call the bead? the kind of weld arrangement, the kind of current parameter settings. But yeah, let's talk about it in detail in our Urunami video, where we're going to take you up through the complete project, how we've developed it, how the component has come out, and what's the kind of advantage that you've got. Yeah, moving on to the next system, yeah, we have the profile welder. Basically, welding different kinds of profiles. Let it be circular, let it be linear, let it be curvature. You name the profile, you just directly start teaching it, it starts welding. It's required for most of your sheet metal boxes or fabricated structures. Here's another product, yeah, it's a circular welder. Basically, this was our first model where we initiated a circular welder for a very low budget application, but we managed to pull it at 1.99 lakhs is because it's got a whole lot of configurations. It's a much bigger model than the mini circular one. It takes up to 250 mm and the load rating is also much higher. It goes up to 6 to 10 kgs payload, where the mini circular welder has only about less than 3 kgs payload. So, and these are a few videos where you can go check it up, and you can also check up our tweets regularly done on Nikit Robotics, because most of the tweet that we are handling is through Nikit Robotics. And these are the basic machines that we are running across to. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for being online with me. See you tomorrow.